Right,
Matt.
welcome everybody to MTFU Tuesdays. Today we are going to be talking about hunting, roadkill, fishing, trapping, that sort of thing. On the panel today we have a very special guest, and it is Mike.
What, me? I didn't realise I was a special guest.
It's on about me.
Special.
So I'm a special guest.
Yeah.
You shoot.
Wow. I'm absolutely honoured.
We know you very often.
That's true.
Yeah. The rest are all usual suspects. We have Bruce.
Hello.
Next to Bruce we have Kev.
Evening, everybody.
And then we have Fergs with the plaster on his head.
It's not plaster, it's stitches. The stitches over stitches.
Right. So, who wants to start off first?
Well, I think we should talk about like just hunting law, guns and whatnot. And so I think Clammy is the man who knows about guns. So I think he should kick off with what do you need to do to go hunting with a gun?
Right. There's a couple of ways to look at this. If you're talking about an air rifle, there's basically two power levels. There's 12 pound per foot and under, which, although you need to keep covered and keep stored away, you don't actually need a firearms license for. If it's above 12 pounds, you need a particular type of license, 12 foot-pound of pressure. So before you even go and buy one, well, you wouldn't be able to buy one above 12 pounds because they ask for your firearms certificate.
Okay.
Straight away. If it's sub 12 pound, you can go in a shop and I think I've got one here actually. Hold on. I didn't.
Blue Peter, here's one I prepared earlier.
No, it's just that I happen to have a gun next to my guitar.
Hands off.
Like you do.
Yeah, that's a sub 12 pound air rifle. I just went and bought that. You don't need to show. You don't need to show
License.
license or anything. Just go and buy one. These, something like that, is okay for squirrels, rabbits, pigeon, small game basically. Because it's not really a firearm; it's a 2.2 pellet gun, basically. But up to about, I'd say, realistically, without anyone swinging the dicks around, 35, maybe 40 yards, you're okay for squirrel, rabbit. Anything above that, and you'll hear people being all manly saying, "Oh, I shot such a thing at such a distance," and I'd ignore them, to be honest, because there's a couple of big issues with hunting that, well, before we go any further, it's something I want to address. It's more of the shooting thing, because I think people don't always realise this, and I think they need to know it. If you're going to take an animal, I believe you're morally responsible to pretty much guarantee a one-shot kill. You got to headshot it. You have to. Because if you wing it and it goes off into the bush, it either dies a very slow, painful death, or it gets got by another predator and it's disadvantaged because it's injured. But either way, morally, I think that's wrong. So you've got to work very, very hard to make sure that it's, you take it in the head and you kill it outright. And that basically means, one, putting your ego back in its pocket. Two, being honest about your own abilities as a shooter. being honest about the abilities of the rifle you're using, and being honest about the conditions. You might have a rifle that can do it, you might be a great shot, but if it's blowing a bloody hurricane, you know, it's the best shooter in the world. You can get thrown off and wing the animal. If you're not sure you can headshot it, don't take the shot. Don't send it. Do not send it. Absolutely not. Because I think it's wrong. If it was like SHTF, then okay, you might do because you're desperate. But if you're not talking that scenario, if you're talking, I'm just going to go out, I want some pigeon for tea, or I want to take a rabbit because it's better, healthier meat, you know, and you know it's lived an organic, natural life. You got to headshot it. You've got to do everything in your power to make sure you get an instant kill. I mean, accidents will happen. Anyone can snatch a trigger. Anyone can make a mistake, but that's one of the most important things, especially with air rifles, because they're not that powerful. So your shot placement has to be great.
Yeah.
And
if you're
a lot of time that's about your ability.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you sort of start taking pot shots at a deer or something you're never ever going to take down.
Absolutely. I mean, that to me is just. Well, if I saw that, I'd be more likely to shoot the person than the animal, you know, because it's just.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. It's just wrong. You're going out there for like natural meat, an animal that's lived a natural life, and which is better for you, obviously. It's better for the environment because there's not transport costs and factories and abattoir costs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you take an animal that could be a couple of years old. You know, it's instantly killed. It feels no pain. That's better than something that's raised in some form of.
Yeah.
Even a free-range environment isn't that great. Do you know what? So you've got to do it right, because if you're not going to do it right, you shouldn't really have a gun. You shouldn't be in the world of bushcraft, because part of the ethos of bushcraft is basically a love for Mother Nature. You know, that's what it's all about. It's a bit sentimental because we sort of look back to the olden times where life was a bit simpler, less complicated. That's why we like going in the woods. Yeah. It's a more simple life. There's not the pressures of modern day society. If you believe in all those things and Mother Nature and the beauty of the environment, then you shouldn't be waving a gun around like a prick, because you shouldn't be in the bushcraft community.
Yeah. Just in regards to rules and stuff. Sorry, go on.
Say again, Fergs.
I was just going to say, like, in regards to rules and stuff about the foot-pounds, etc., that they can push, I mean, it's completely different for an air pistol as well. So you couldn't have an air pistol pushing 12 foot-pounds because that would be considered a firearm and stupid.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the thing about a pistol is not accurate. I'm not sure as regard. I mean, I'm not an air rifle expert. I'll be honest. I always used heavy calibers, so I'm more of a large caliber shooter. I did have a 2.2 rimfire, which is a totally different kettle of fish. But I used that as a competition gun for the competitions I used to shoot. But then my next caliber up from that was 357 Magnum. So I'm not really that au fait with air rifles.
Right. Well, just in regards to the rules, then, like with an air rifle, it's always best to have it chronoed and have the chrono results like in the bag with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're ever seen with the rifle, unless you can prove that it's sub 12 foot-pounds, the police can confiscate it until it's been proven and tested.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it's always best off to have it checked out so you can vouch for yourself. And also, like in regards to transporting it as well, don't ever keep the pellets in the same compartment as the gun because it's easy access and the police will be knobheads about it. So always like stick the pellets at the bottom of your bag or something and keep the gun in the gun bag. It's just safe transporting and the police are less likely to
With
be
air
scared about
rifles,
it.
you've got to have it in a bag as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's got to be in a bag. You can't walk around with it open.
And you've got to remember, you've got to have permission to shoot on the land you're going to shoot on.
Yeah.
You can't just think, oh, well, there's a bit of woods, I'm going to go and shoot my air rifle. You might get away with it, but really you need permission to be on that land. And the other problem is, to the general public, a 2.2 air rifle looks like a sniper rifle because fundamentally they look the same.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, is someone actually going to look at the end of the rifle and look down and go, oh, the diameter of that bore is only like, 22 millimeters as opposed to, whatever. They can't tell. If you've got a guy holding a rifle with a scope on him, they don't know whether it's an air rifle or a sniper rifle. I haven't got a clue.
No.
So,
especially from a distance.
Yeah, you've got to be careful. They just see a guy with a rifle. Now, what is it? Is it a 243 hunting rifle? Is it just an air rifle? Who knows? The guy in Cumbria, he was reported as having a sniper rifle. He actually only had a 2.2 rimfire. Not that couldn't do you a lot of damage.
Yeah, the general public don't care anyway, do they? The general public see
it wasn't a sniper rifle, but one of the witnesses said, Derek Bird was his name, I think. One of the witnesses said, seen him coming down the lane, he was carrying a sniper rifle with a big scope on it. He wasn't carrying a sniper rifle with a big scope on it. He was carrying a 2.2 rimfire with a scope on it. But how do you tell the difference unless you know guns? And the thing is you can't. Even the police from 50 yards away can't really tell whether it's an air rifle or a hunting rifle or whatever.
No.
So you've got to exercise a little bit of caution because it could be misinterpreted. And if you're waving an air rifle around, don't do it in front of the firearms squad because you might just catch one.
Well, this
yeah,
is
exactly.
it.
If the police say put it down, you put it down.
It's common sense, isn't it? I mean, you've got to think of your safety of everybody else as well as yourself. So like I said, just always keep it in the bag when you're transporting it. Don't have the pellets in the same bag or in your pocket because that's just frigging daft. Make sure it's being chronoed. And keep those papers with the gun, otherwise it will get confiscated. So it's worth noting those.
Yeah, you just got to be a bit careful. I mean, ideally, the ideal weapon, the ideal gun for a bushcrafter, or to be honest, the best gun in an SHTF scenario is a 2.2 rimfire. It's not an assault weapon, but if you want to gather food, a 2.2 rimfire is perfect because you can take game at a greater distance. And to be honest, there's lots of people who go, "Oh, a 2.2, that's no good." But it's a rimfire round, so it's actually a round rather than a pellet. But
So how would you get a license?
you get hit by a rimfire round, you will know about it. How much, Bruce?
How would you get a license to use a rimfire?
Right. The first thing you've got to do normally is one, you've got to join a gun club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a general rule, you join a gun club, and each club is slightly different. But you need to be a member for in between 3 and 6 months.
Right.
Then you can apply for a license. What they will do then is they will contact the club and make sure you've not been a divvy. They'll contact the Home Office and delve into your background.
Yeah, like
They'll contact your doctor to see if you've had any form of depression or anything like that.
Okay.
They'll then come out to your house and interview you and check your windows, your doors, your burglar systems, and check that. And when they come and do that check, you must already have and have fitted a gun safe that's drilled into the wall. Whether you get your license or not, you have to put that safe in first. Right. And only then, when they've interviewed you and the club, check the Home Office, checked with your doctor, only then will you get granted a firearms license, and it will be for certain calibers that you state you want. And with a firearms license, you have to justify every caliber as to what it's for, and that will enable you to shoot at the club or at approved ranges. Like a military. I shot a lot of military ranges and things like that.
Okay.
If you want to then go out and hunt with it, one, you have to get permission of the landowner,
obviously.
then the police will come out and examine that land, because once you start using a firearm as opposed to an air rifle, you've got to think, if it's a target, that round will go and go and go. So you've got to have a backstop, or you've got to be in a natural berm or something. And it's no good. I don't know. Say you're in Norfolk that's very flat, and you've got a piece of land. It's no good going like that, missing what you're shooting at, and the round keeps going for another mile and pops up in the head. So they come and check the land, basically, and then once you've got that permission, then you can shoot on that particular piece of land, but no other. You can only shoot on land you're given permission for. You can't just go willy with a firearm. It's got to be permissible land. I mean, I've not shot for about 4 years now, so I'm not saying there's not been perhaps slight variations or changes. There might well have been, but that's what it was a couple of years ago. I'm guessing, if anything, it's tighter, because obviously they're tightening up, because they always do. But
if you was just going to pop squirrel, like pigeons or something, as in trying to get access for like a bushcraft permission by saying, "Oh, I'll shoot a load of pigeons for you," you're probably better off going for an air rifle anyway, because it's going to be cheaper. You know, just the amount of ammo you're using.
I would say, honestly, unless you get into it seriously and you're into shooting as a sport, or I did like lots of competitions, or unless you want to do like long range shooting like I did, or military competitions and things like that. But that's to do with shooting as a hobby, not bushcraft as a hobby. If you're into bushcraft and you just want, say, your pigeons, your rabbits, your squirrels, things like that, just get a 2-2 air rifle, because if you can track good enough to get within 30, 35, 40 yards, it teaches you tracking, it teaches you stealth, it teaches you how to walk properly, natural concealment. It's a very good skill to have, because animals are quite clever. If you just go walking through, they'll just do one. So you've got to learn those skills, which is beneficial in like many ways. So to be honest, I'd stick with air rifles. And plus, you're not going to get the hassle. I mean, if you've got a firearm certificate, remember, every time an AMPR goes past you, they know you're a firearms license holder. And don't even think about getting into any trouble, because if you even get caution, your license is gone, and all your guns have gone with it. And if a gun's cost you $2,000, and you've got half a dozen guns in it, your best gun might cost you $2,000. I've only paid $300 or $400 for some of your cheaper guns. But so you're talking about an investment. You get a caution. I know a guy who was at our club, and he was in like a pub restaurant in a nice area, and he went for a meal with his wife, and there was some idiot at the bar, must have fancied his wife, kept giving him hassle, and he was like, just trying to get away from it all, and the landlord kept him away. Anyway, when he went outside, the guy jumped him, and all he did was defend himself. The police came, arrested them both, said, "Okay, right, listen, we understand this guy's drunk and blah, blah, blah. Easiest thing to do, we'll give you both a caution and you can both go home." So he went, "Well, okay. I didn't do anything wrong as such, but because they said, if you don't accept the caution, we're going to keep you in overnight, we're going to investigate." And so he accepted the caution, stupidly, because the second he accepted that caution, that was on his record, and within a few days, firearms squad come round and took about $5,000 worth of guns off him. He eventually got them back about 2 years later.
Jesus.
And they were knackered. They'd been treated badly. And if you've got if you put say like a Smith & Bender scope on your rifle, you're looking at 800 notes for the scope. Never mind the rifle. And if you're into like long range target shooting, like I was, like 1,000-yard stuff, that gun could be 2, 3, 4 grand, depending on what you can afford and what you're using. So it's a bit of a faff. Plus, you've also got a gun cabinet at home, which takes up space and you get nagged. And if you're into proper shooting like that, you'll probably, like I did, I hand loaded and made every single round. So I had to have a reloading bench and scales and tumbler cleaners. So you've got the expense because you hand load every round of your ammunition because you want accuracy. So just buying ammunition is okay, but when you're looking at really accurate shooting over a high distance, you've got to do a ballistics load up on the gun and do lots and lots of testing to find, you know, all sorts of information, and then you make each round, which takes time.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a faff,
yeah.
to be honest. And if you only want to shoot a pigeon, you get an air rifle, 150 quid, sub £12. So you still need that permission off the local farmer or whomever, but
so
you just haven't got the same hassle.
What's the advantages and disadvantages with 2.2 and 177 with air rifles?
177 tends to be flat. I mean, I'm no expert on air rifles, to be honest. But as far as I understand it, a 2.2 will have more of a parabolic arc over distances, whereas the 177 shoots a flatter trajectory.
Yeah, it shoots faster FPS, and the 2.2 is harder.
But it hasn't got the punch of a 2.2. So if you're inexperienced, I don't know, maybe 177 is a bit easier initially because you're not worried so much about a parabola. I mean, you're not worried much anyway when we're talking air rifles. I mean, when you're talking 1,000 yards, you're talking a very big sort of, you wouldn't believe it. It's like, it's you know, if you're firing at 1,000 yards off prone on the ground, you can put a bus in the middle of the range, and your bullet will go over the top of the bus and come down onto the target. Do you know what I mean? It's over 30, 40 yards. You're not talking very much at all. But the 177 is a flatter trajectory.
Okay.
But it doesn't punch the same. But I'm not an expert, but just like anything else, if you go on a forum, there'll be people who like really go on about 177, and there'll be just as many really go on about 2.2s.
Yeah.
You know,
I think hunting-wise, probably a 2.2 is better for making sure it's killed, whereas 177 is probably more target shooting.
Yeah, I mean, I got a 2.2 because that's what I had when I was a kid, you know, and that's what I sort of grew up sort of shooting.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think about it, to be honest. It just never. I didn't put that much thought into it. Having come from firearms into air rifles, I just saw it as a bit of a pop gun because, you know, I was used to 7.62. So to me, an air rifle was just a pop gun, you know. And I just thought, oh, I went in the local gun shop and I said, "What have you got?" I wanted a Springer because I thought SHTF scenario, you spring it to reload it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, are they called PCP air rifles and things like that? You know, that you refill with gas and all that, which probably much better and more accurate. I think. Like I say, I'm no expert. But if you're in an SHTF or an apocalyptic Walking Dead scenario, then you've got to always have gas and refills and an air tank. Whereas I thought if you just a Springer, it's just a case of, you know, you just crack the. So I just went into the shop and I said, "What have you got?" And he said, "Oh, we've got this one on offer. It should have been 145 quid." And he said, he knew me, and he went, "No, give us 100 quid." That's what that one I just showed. And he went, "You can have that for 100 quid with a scope." And I thought, "I'll do." So it's just like for plinking, really. It's you know, there's some like incredibly accurate rifles, unbelievably accurate. That isn't, but I've zeroed it pretty good at you know, I can put every pellet in about that, you know. Which, to be honest,
the £12 total, that also applies to catapults as well, doesn't it?
Sorry, that Kev. £12, sorry.
Yeah, it also applies to your catapults as well. It's the same law applies. It's not allowed to be over £12.
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, I've not heard that before actually either.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about catapults because I've only tried to shoot one once, And the problem I always have with it, I'm left-eye dominant but right-handed. But I shoot right-handed, but when I picked up a catapult, I can't shoot right-handed with a catapult. I've had to try and use my right hand. Because when I was using it like that, it was getting thrown. So I'm trying to do it cack-handed, and well, basically I can't shoot a catapult. I can't do it. I'm rubbish.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
I do need to learn.
Yeah, I've looked up the laws for catapults, and it's like ambiguous at best. It's kind of down to the police officer's discretion whether you're being a twat with it or not. Because you've got knife laws, you've got bow and arrow laws, you've got trapping laws, you've got gun laws, but I think for some reason catapults have kind of like scooted around the outside of all of them.
Yeah.
You know, so as
I think
you're not taking the piss, you get away with quite a lot with a catapult.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you're on a woodland permission that you got permission to be on, by the very nature of where it is physically, i.e. a woodland off the beaten track, you know, is the copper thinking, do you know what, I'll just go for a wander through that woodland. If you're in the sort of right sort of place, you shouldn't really encounter many problems. If you're on the school playground twanging them at people, you might have an issue, or just outside your house on, you know, knocking bottles off the wall, you might have a problem. But if you're in the woodland, you know, there's not many cops that are going to come out the donut shop and go in the woodland just to check it for no reason.
So when I take my catapult out now, I take marbles, so it's really light projectile ammo. It's not hurting the environment. I mean, they can shatter, but it's very, very rare. And I take like a catch net as well, and I hang a catch net up and just put it on the catch net, so I'm not sending strays unless I fork it or really fuck up. So
I've got a really nice catapult, I just can't fire it until I work out what to do with my eye dominance. I've got a really good one.
It could be to do with the way your bands are attached, dude. Like,
to be honest, it's got dual bands on it. And
I was depending if they're over the top or through the forks.
I think it's just more intuitive with catapults. Just be more like a bow. With a catapult, it's a bit more intuitive than aiming. It's a bit like a bow and arrow. You feel it rather than aim it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A bit more intuitive.
Dual therabands, or whatever they're called, they take a bit of pulling back, these buggers.
And I dropped mine to singles because doubles just.
I found it. I don't want to sound like a puff, but I find that I can do it, but I wouldn't like to take 10 or 20 shots.
No, your arms all over the place.
It feels quite harsh. It's something I need to sort out and learn, to be honest, because I can't do it.
That's why you might be. That's why you don't aim it. Do you know, like when you've got it at full stretch and your hand starts shaking, that's why you don't aim it. You just intuitively just pull it back and let it go. That's like you say, because it's that tough. That's where you've got to shake it.
So is it? Are you literally saying like just take one movement, bang, rather than sort of hold aim? You just sort of come up and you draw in as you come up, get to about here, and then let it go. Pretty much.
Well, aim with the fork first, then pull back.
Yeah, I do it kind of half and half. I like half draw it, lock down the sight, aim it, pull, and then release.
Yeah.
But if you do this, you're like all over the place. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm kind of. I'll move back a little bit. So I'll half draw. So like, there's no tension on the thing, but just pull it back, aim, pull, let go, and that's me. That works for me.
I might go over to single bands because I've got 4 crushed vertebrae in my neck.
Yeah, tension's no.
I might go over to single bands because, you know, I can feel it. I can feel me back going, stop it.
Yeah. You're holding it out in front, or you're holding it on the side?
I hold it instinctively for me. I was holding it like that.
Yeah, that's
It could be that you're.
If you draw a line down that ferroband, that gives you a rough guide. If you draw a line down the centre.
Yeah.
It could also be like you're doing this, look.
I was basically I was using that as my aim point, you know, sort of off there.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I find these quite heavy to pull back consistently.
Because it's a heavy band, what you could be doing is this, look, when you're pulling it and you let go, the tension could make the catapult do that,
Possibly.
which is throwing the ball off as well.
You know, it's
Because
quite...
there's that much tension on it from you trying to pull it because it's double bands. As soon as you let go, even that smallest little movement there is going to send it flying.
It's the same. It's exactly the same with shooting. You know, like when you were shooting like 1,000 yards, it works like a cone. It's called minutes of angle. So if you follow minutes of angle principles, if you shoot at 100 yards and you're 1 inch off the target, 1 inch off the bullseye, for sake of a better word, by the time that round gets to 1,000 yards at minute of angle, you will then be 10 inches away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so minute of angle goes 1 inch at 100, 2 inch at 200, 3 inch at 300. So a small sort of off center at 100 yards is magnified like a cone out. You know, well, I used to shoot like 1,000 yards, and that's why you've got to be crazy accurate. That's why where your reloading and crap comes in, because it just over that sort of distance, any small error, you know, with your trigger, with your breathing, it magnifies it massively, and you know it sorts out the men from the boys that, you know, at that sort of distance. Really
whether it's a rifle or a catapult, like you're not going to learn to shoot it if you don't shoot it. So just get out there and chuck some ammo on the range.
I might get some single therabands, because it hurts me back to draw them doubles. I think I'll admit I'm a bit of a girl, and get some single therabands and put them on. I
mean, I've got the Hegarty slings one, and I've got the Barnett Pro Diablo, which came with tubes, but I didn't like the tubes. So I mean, you can see it's a really dodgy attachment system, but I've put some TheraBand gold on there myself now. I've made my own little leather pouch out of an old shoe, and then that's my over-the-top flat band Diablo.
Well, them bands are double TheraBand golds on that. That's a Hargety one. Hargety.
Yeah, Nick Hargety. I said I got Hegarty, and it come with double bands on it, but I just couldn't get used to it. I mean, even though I've got reasonably strong shoulders, I just couldn't be still with it.
You probably have the same bands on yours as you put on mine, because that's what you seem to fit.
Yeah, it does double TheraBand.
If you've had problems with it, then it's no surprise that me with a dodgy back, I'm going to have problems as well, aren't I?
But Bruce has got one as well. So what's yours like, Bruce?
I saw Bruce.
I haven't shot it that much, to be honest. I only sort of had a few sort of pops in my garden, but my garden's like fucking 25, 30 foot long. But I haven't had a go out in the woods with it yet.
I think overall it depends. You know, when you're talking about, you know, the sort of chat was about hunting this, that, and the other. If you're talking about the morality of it, I would always say use an air rifle over a bow and arrow over a catapult, because you've got less chance of ballsing it up and getting a clean kill on the animal.
Yeah. Well, hunting with a bow and arrow is illegal anyway.
Yeah. Hunting. I mean, it's the same with hobo reels. You know, you can't hobo reel fish legally. So I've recently, the other day, I've got a rather slinky fishing rod from Penn Rods in the States. But you can only use a hobo reel in the sea fishing, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, right.
You can't legally hobo fish.
Any rivers?
Rivers. I mean, I did a vid of me for Scott. I did a vid of me fishing on our local pond with it, because I didn't know. But apparently, it's only. I mean, again, if you're in the woodland and it's a little stream running through the woodland, who's going to sort of know?
Yeah.
But legally, so I got this. And you see them a lot on eBay and Amazon. They just. But I now have this, which is the new, slightly larger backpacker pen fishing rod from the States. So it's the normal pen fishing rod is not much bigger than a pen, about 6 inches long, whereas this is about 10 inches, but it's a 6-foot rod.
Oh,
But
cool.
size-wise, well, if you look at end of my fingers to my wrist, and it weighs nothing. But you see them on eBay and all that, and they just break. They just break. So I'm going to use this because this one's endorsed by a lot of top fishermen. They've had like 23-pound carp on it, and again the reel. You see how small that is. Pretty good quality reel. So that's what I'm going to use because I've got my hobo reel. But realistically, unless you're in some sort of environment, the trouble is, say you go, oh, I'll do a vid for YouTube of me with my hobo reel, and the environmental agency comes along and says you're fishing with your hobo reel.
Yeah.
They'll confiscate your hobo reel. Yeah. They'll also confiscate your camera. You know, your video camera.
Right.
You know, so you were doing a YouTube vid. They'll take your camera as well. They'll take all equipment.
I mean, it's a bit of a touchy subject.
So you got to be a bit careful, you know, because if you've got like £100 vid camera, they'll have that as well.
Yeah.
So
all depends how fast they can run.
We haven't touched that.
Well, I'll miss that.
I said it all depends how fast they can run.
I've not been running.
Well, I don't know how fast they can run, but to be honest, I reckon they'll probably outrun me.
Yeah, that's true.
The environment agency, if they're doing the rounds for licenses anyway, the majority of them have cameras on them themselves now anyway. They have the little shoulder camera thing because they're fed up of being pushed in and people running away.
Well, I've been fishing since I was about 8, and I haven't yet to see an environment agency person.
I've seen them probably about 3. It's not very often, but it's always the case. Like, if you think, you shouldn't, but if you ever think, bugger, I won't buy a license, I'll just go fishing, that'll be the day they turn up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a fishing license for a year is something like, it was £26 the last time I got one a couple of years ago. I've not been fishing since. But £26 and then a day license is something like £370 or £380 or something like that. It's worth it to just not end up with a fine. Like, it's going towards keeping the waterways and stuff working and that anyway, so just pay it.
I went a few times. I didn't have a yearly license because I wasn't fishing much, and I was getting day licenses. And then a couple of times I thought, oh, I sorted this, I'm not getting one. I bloody got one last week and the week before, it's costing me. But then you spend all day, like, looking, thinking, crap, who's that? And you don't relax the same because you think, you might as well just get a yearly one if you're going to fish.
I just pass a little rod because you have to be 14.
Yeah. I'm under 14.
Mike Banger says Wyndham Woodcraft's here on the side chat.
Well, I'll walk out side chat. How do I do that?
It's on the YouTube feed.
You have to actually go to the MTFU chat on YouTube and turn the volume down, otherwise you get like double feedback.
And Mark Martin wants to know what gun you shot over 1,000 up to 1,000 yards with. It
started off as a Remington 700 Mark, but what I did was I fitted it into the Accuracy International chassis system, which is what the British Army use. I had it crowned and blueprinted, and I put obviously it was magazine fed because I was using the Accuracy International chassis, and I put a competition trigger on it. So it's basically, it started as a Remington 700 308, but I sort of pimped it up a little bit, and I used 2 different types of ammo. The powder that suited that specific gun best was Vargit, as opposed to M140 or M150. If it was windy, I used a 168 grain Hornady AMAX head because it seemed to book the wind a bit better. If it wasn't windy, I used a Lapua Senna 155 because the Lapua Senna has a much better ballistics coefficient, which meant the Lapua would get to 1,000 yards and not go transonic, whereas a Hornady would drop from supersonic into transonic and therefore destabilise slightly. But it did book the wind a little bit better. But I did shoot that, Mark. I think I got a 5-shot group with that Remington just under 7 inches at 1,000 yards, which I think, considering it wasn't, a particularly expensive rifle, I know I pimped it a bit, I was pretty happy with that, and that was up in the hills of Yorkshire, so it's a bit blustery and windy, so yeah, that was what I used it at 1,000.
Don't need to tell me about that.
That was 1,000. Or a Lee Enfield 303, a Maltby 303 Enfield. I used to shoot with open sights as well. 1943 Maltby Lee Enfield. Which again, that was a 303, would push out to 1,000 on open sights. Which is not as accurate.
Yeah,
But,
he says he's got the Remington 700 BDL 30-06.
Great guns. Remington 700s, I think, you can modify them. You can do all sorts with them. And Remington generally, as far as I've always been aware, if you get a problem, they've got good, customer service and backup. Yeah, I was quite happy. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the Remington, to be honest, and it's a relatively cheap gun.
Changing subject a little bit. Roadkill. Resident Butcher Bruce.
Here you go.
Yeah. Well, it was just we were basically thinking, of ways of getting meat in the woods. So it's fishing. What freshwater fish can we eat? There's pretty much pike, carp, possibly. You can eat any fish.
That swims.
Perch.
But,
Perch aren't bad.
Yeah.
You can eat carp as well.
Yeah. But then, you could eat any fish, I suppose, but they're just going to taste like crap. That's probably your main concern. So we're shooting. You're going for squirrels. You're going for rabbits, pigeons. You're not really going to go for anything bigger than that unless you're going to get a rifle, which means you're going to go for deer. And you don't really get involved in 12-bore licenses and all that because that's just more drama. So I was thinking, well, it's quite a few times where I drive to camp, I've kind of like my peripheral vision is just constantly looking all the way to camp for anything in the hedgerow. And the amount of times I've swerved over and picked up a pheasant or a rabbit or a squirrel on the way to a camp is, quite often. Actually, I picked up a beautiful fallow deer. It was on the bypass. I was coming home from work and I just saw some legs sticking out of the bush and I thought, that's a big one. So I went back home, got in my car, pulled up on the bypass, wrapped it all up in a black plastic sack, waited for the cars to calm down and threw it in the boot of my car, took it home, hung it up in my shed and gutted it all. Put it in my freezer and I think I'll save that for a good big camp. And there's a lot of people there, it's a lot of meat. My bloody freezer turned off, didn't it? So I've lost a lot. Gutted. Yeah, so I had a muntjac, a fallow, I think 3 squirrels and a hare I think was in my freezer. I've lost a bloody lot. So I should really start going out with an air rifle or something just to get some pigeons and stuff to fill my freezer up because it's always handy to take on camp.
The thing to do, Bruce, before you take a shot at an animal, learn to shoot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Learn to shoot. Get your gun zeroed. Once you can shoot, because I've seen guys who've been shooting for years and they can't shoot for shit. Learn to shoot.
Really pissy, don't you? Like if you shoot at something and don't dispatch it humanely, like with the first shot or a follow-up shot, people get really pissy about it.
Just make sure you can shoot. Yeah. Make sure your gun's zeroed and then go for it.
Yeah. that is kind of a segue into getting a permission. If you say to a farmer, "I'll clear out some of these pigeons in your barn because they're shitting everywhere," and it could be something worth you doing, since you know since you're pretty handy with a gun. Just say clammy extermination services.
Do you know, I'm going to kill Scott for that. He bloody abbreviates my name to Clammy. The sweat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I keep saying, no, it's Clambo. Clambo! That's nails, not Clammy. That's
Clammy, it just makes it sound all sweaty, doesn't it?
exactly. Well, it's Clambo. Nails. Just not on.
Clambo Environmental Services. There we go.
Where we're on,
Factory first blood.
Fergs, do you want to tell all about your backside?
I can show you on my backside if you like.
No.
Right. Well, okay, for anybody that doesn't know, what happened is at the end of last week's chat, Bruce mentioned something about MTFU tattoo or something, and
Yeah, I think I was surprised that no one had done it yet, because I thought about it myself.
So me being me, and for those of you that haven't watched my videos, you'll understand this is the type of person I am, because I'm totally fucked in the head. I thought, yeah, go on, and I'll get an MTFU tattoo. And then somebody suggested getting it on my ass, and I was like, yep, okay, that's fine. we'll do that. But we'll make it interesting. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to get a tattoo on my ass, but we're doing it for charity. So it's for Help for Heroes. Now, if you go on my channel, there's a video explaining what it's all about in a bit more detail. There's links to a GoFundMe page and also to PayPal. Try to raise 500 quid for Help for Heroes. And yeah, so we're going to get there, hopefully. And I'm going to get the MTFU badge tattooed on my ass. And I'm going to record it and show you all, because you all want to see my bum.
I put a shout out.
You want to see your ass in your face?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
when Fergs was born, the doctor turned and smacked his ass and went, twins.
Yeah.
No, well, I think I'm about 115 quid at the minute. Yeah, we're about 115 quid. So there's still quite a bit to go, but I mean, that's donations from not even 15 people, and we're at 115 quid. So, I mean, we've got a huge following on people's channels, huge amount of people in the MTFU group. Even if you just stick a quid in there, do it, you can laugh, you can see my ass, and yeah, it's for a good cause. It's been authorised by Help for Heroes themselves. I did speak to them directly, and I put the ID number for the fundraiser on the GoFundMe page. So everything's above board, legit, they're aware of it. They laughed at me and called me an idiot, but I said it's... They realise it's for life. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Did they ask what MTFU stood for?
Yeah, they did. I had to go with the safe version because they didn't want... So it's many through Friends Unite, because they're going to run it in the news stories. They weren't allowed to use the other one. But yeah, it should be fun. But I said, go donate a quid or something, guys. It's for good fun. You're going to get to see me scream like a girl, because I think Ant's coming to record it. And then yeah, we'll see how we go.
We didn't tell you Ant's the one that's doing it.
Well, I made the joke. I didn't really want to get in my ass that day. But yeah, we'll see. I did. Yeah, it won't be the only prick I get in my ass that day if Ant's there.
But yeah, guys, if you can.
Gotta do it, bro.
Do what? Sorry.
Go on, Bruce.
No, that's right. I just said, so if you can, just donate what you can. That would be really appreciated. So.
But just to give you an idea of what it's going to look, I'm not going to get my ass out, don't worry. But it's kind of going to be there.
Awesome. Yeah. Is it going to be that size? Is it?
Depends on how much it's going to cost. I'm speaking to somebody at the moment about getting involved. There's a tattooist in Leeds that's gets involved in all the charity events and stuff. So I'm going to see if we can tie it in with some publicity and stuff for him, and see if we can get it done for nothing.
Because what I really want to do is get together with some like retailers and stuff and try and get a discount for MTFU if you show your patch. So if you have to go and buy any kit, you've got to keep getting your arse out.
Don't need an
Just
excuse
walk in
to
and
do
go
that.
outdoors and go, there you go, 25% off.
Well, it'll be an interesting camp story. I mean, I'm not one for getting my ass out all the time. I'm not that kind of guy. But yeah, it'll be an interesting camp story at least. Anyway.
You're alive.
Shh. We're live. Why not just throw the patch
I
on you?
reckon it's got to have a lemon border.
Yeah.
Kurt, Red Owl Bushcraft said he'll
I
donate.
reckon it's got to be lemon.
Yeah, Red Owl Bushcraft Kurt said he'll donate 50 quid if I get a tattoo of a lemon on my arm. I was like, no, thank you.
I reckon we should put lemon in it.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what that's all about anyway. So go donate, go to my channel, check the links. Even if it's just £1, it doesn't matter. Just donate and let's make it happen. Make sure you share it. Go to the GoFundMe page and share it so all your friends can get involved and laugh at me for being a fucking idiot.
I'll put the link underneath this one as well for when it goes up.
Yeah, sweet.
I'll tell you what, I'll pin it top of my group because Jake's scooter's nearly done that, so I'll unpin that post and pin this one.
I think he's hit his
Another
target
good cause.
actually as Jake. Yeah, they've hit the target.
Yeah, it's nearly done. It's going to be ready for the Bushcraft show, apparently. So,
It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait
yeah,
to see that.
I'll unpin that from the top of my group. And
Awesome.
Anybody else who got anything that they would like to add? Any questions in the side chat or anything like that?
Yeah.
just waiting for you to wear that dress, Matt. And we're done.
Weekend. The weekend thing, that. It's not for a school night.
Oh, I suppose, but I thought you were doing your bike chain at the weekend. You're doing your bike chain in that?
No, I'm doing the bike chain tomorrow. I've just noticed I've got like a massive
Right.
chain mark down the side of my leg as well. No, I've got to service the whole thing tomorrow, so. Bloody parcel force. I got a text message because I've got some parts coming. Oh, we're going to deliver it today. Do you want it re-delivered? I said, oh yeah, fair enough. Re-deliver it for me day off. I get a message today when I'm at work. We are going to deliver your parcel today. I'm like, what the fuck? I've just told you to re-deliver it. But then I've got home and I've gotten another message. Thank you for scheduling a re-delivery. It's like, for fuck's sake, can you not just read your messages to start with?
Yeah. Pain in the bum.
That's not fair.
Do you like that?
Yeah, well, it should be. I think what we're going to do is I might even do a bit of a live video to YouTube while it's being done.
Yeah, it depends what time you can do it, doesn't it?
If you can get it done on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
Come to my house to do it. That'd be interesting. MTFU Tuesdays, Fez gets his ass towed live.
Yeah, so there's a lot of buzzing coming through your mic, thanks.
That's not the tattoo gun.
A lot of tears. I think.
Yeah, awesome.
Robert?
The worst thing is we know the tattoo artist have a giant penis on your
Robert Gilchrist saying, how do we get an MTFU patch? You need to speak to Bruce.
Yeah, pretty much.
You have to get a tattoo on your ass and get one for free.
Yeah, I want a lifetime supply of badges for that.
Yeah, message me on Facebook, Rob. MTFU patches are £2, £4, £5 delivered worldwide.
And they look like that, look.
And they're iron-on, and you can stitch them on.
Yes, don't stitch them on like Carlisle.
Yeah.
I stitch mine on.
Yeah, they look like that.
Yeah, they're iron-on, but don't put them in a super hot wash because it will melt the glue and they'll come off again.
Yeah, that's why I stitch mine on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's two for £5. I've just sent some to Mark Martin actually. He ordered 4.
Ant just says you should put the patches on Etsy.
That's a good idea actually.
It is from Ant.
To do it.
Don't tell Ant he had a good idea.
I know.
Well, I kind of just did.
Yeah. But the
Herbie's little.
with the patches, it doesn't. The money doesn't go to me. It all goes into like an MTFU fund. So if someone's having a bit of a shit time or something goes wrong, we can buy them a bunch of flowers or some chocolates or something to cheer them up, or buy them a tarp or a bit of kit. That's kind of what the fund's there for. So just MTFU members, or well, it doesn't have to be an MTFU member, just someone in the bushcraft community, if they having a bad time or bereavement or something, we can send them some flowers, or yeah, just cheer them up a bit. So that's kind of what the fund's for. But there's usually sort of 40-50 quid knocking around in it to help people out. That's the whole point of the fund. So, anywho,
What buggered? Ant heard the comment if he had a good idea.
oh no.
Oh, we're never going to live this down, are we?
Nah.
Mark Martin says you have to use the funds to buy an ice pack for my ass.
Bag of frozen peas.
You can buy me a piles cushion so I can sit down.
There you
Leave
go.
it on the side. It will be fine.
There you go.
Yeah, one of those.
Hands are vibrating more now.
Yeah. It's actually been quite an interesting chat. This has a lot of stuff I didn't know about guns.
Yeah. It's probably going to be another one where we can come
How
back
much
to
do we have to raise to get it up with 5-sided unicorn?
What did they say?
How much is that, sir? What was that, sorry?
How much do we have to raise for you to get the tattoo where you've had the unicorn removed?
That's not fundraising, that's going straight in my pocket. Getting the tattoo on me for charity.
There's too many letters, there wouldn't be room there.
I don't know, I've got my hairline's quite... There's a big canvas.
Right. Well, that's 10 o'clock then. That's what I was up. I think this is probably going to be a chat that we'll come back to.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite an expansive chat, and
Because there's a lot we haven't talked about, really.
oh yeah,
Just a thought, guys.
yeah,
Just a thought. Each week you do a chat, and you have varying subjects, and you have different people on the panel, each with different levels of knowledge.
yeah,
You know, like Fergs knows about pornography and dwarf sex.
yeah.
You know about butchery, rabbits. I know about guns and things like that. Why don't you say to the people in the sidebar and the people who are watching, like, look, if you want some information on a particular subject, on the MTFU page, for example, you can put,
Try this.
if you want to know about dwarf sex, contact Fergs. If you want to know about butchery, contact Bruce. If you want to know about shooting and raven-haired goth girls, contact me. You know, things like that. And that way, the people who are using the MTFU page can use it as a sort of resource, or put a question out to
Oh god, yeah. Well, there's so many talented people in MTFU. You know, I mean, knife makers, leather crafters.
Yeah.
You know, it just it goes on forever, and you know, people are really good on the plant ID. Matt himself, he's awesome on the plant ID.
I'm a fuck.
That's because he's a plant pot.
He's a vegetable. It's just his family.
I can show you how you eat cake and pies.
See, well, it's a skill set.
Kev knows how to
if you
give
want
you
to-
crayfish with the arsehole still in it.
It was only yours, Fergs.
Yeah, I know.
I knew what I was doing with
Yeah, I bet you did.
Actually, while we're on that really quick subject of, because you were saying fishing without a license, if you was fishing for crayfish with a stick and a bit of string with bacon on the end, you don't need a license because it's not a fishing rod.
That's true.
But you do need a proper pucker license from the Environment Agency if you're netting crayfish. Because if you're putting nets down, the bacteria can be spread from different ponds, which can wipe out the English variety of crayfish. So you've got to know what you're doing.
Or you can just pick them, can't you? You could pick them legally if it was shallow enough.
Yeah. Yeah, but if just a bit of bacon on a bit of string. Because you're taking them out anyway, which is doing them a favour. So.
And to be honest, if you think about it,
signal crayfish out, you can't put it back. But if you get a normal species, was it the grey ones?
The white claw
you can.
ones, yeah.
But yeah.
So if you use bacon on a stick to catch an American signal crayfish, you've got surf and turf. Catch the crayfish, wrap it in bacon around a big prawn.
Yeah, but there's no way I'm going to use bacon for bait.
No, that's what I was thinking.
Well, just
what a waste of bacon.
The fatty, gristly bit off the side.
No.
That's the best bit.
Speculate to accumulate.
No.
I'd rather just eat the bacon because crayfish tastes like shit.
I do like crayfish, but not as much as I like bacon.
No. But, if you're anything like me, you take about £6 of bacon to camp anyway.
Yeah, or £6 for me.
There's probably enough of £6 of Ferg's ass to go around for everybody. You get to see it all now this time.
Did you not ask them to keep your lump?
Well, you got about £40 of crack down there.
I did. I asked them if I could keep it actually, and they said no. They wanted to send it off for tests because they've not seen one that big in where it was.
Yeah, they're going to salt it and use it as bacon. Face bacon.
No, they've put it in the Natural History Museum.
I think
next to the Elephant Man.
It looked like a scallop. Do you know the fish scallop things?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like one of those, but it were almost like a little mini brain. It had all the lines and stuff on it. It was. They had to cut it out with scissors, and I could feel it.
Right.
Nice.
And on that note, bye for now.
Got on it, quid, you cheap twat.
Yeah. Right.